This is the real Remy Brand, and I support Crumb TV.
It's IG No Flex Zone. You are now watching Crumb TV.
Hey, this is Reggae Boy, and I'm watching Crumb TV.
And you're now watching Crumb TV.
What's up? This is your brother Walsh Red, and you're now watching Crumb TV.
Hey, you are now watching Crumb TV.
Crumb TV.
Hey, we in Chicago, y'all, and y'all watching Crumb TV.
It's your brother, Tim Buck 2, I say.
You are now watching Crumb TV.
You is Chi-Town finest. You're Inglewood, always up to no good.
Man, I'm telling my brother Crumb.
You're watching Crumb TV.
I'm your humble brother, and you are watching Crumb TV. Reporting live from the Wild Hunter Southside Chicago.
And you now watching Crumb TV.
And you're watching Crumb TV.
Crumb TV, baby. Hey.
Crumb TV.
Brother Red Pill representing Know the Ledge, one half of the Twin Pillars. I am here rocking with Crumb TV.
No, you are watching Crumb TV.
You can find me on Crumb TV.
You can catch me on Crumb TV.
This is Chief Kalanago here at Crumb TV.
I am Joy Allen of the Memoirs of a Karmic Dynasty in the Crumb TV studio.
Honored to be on your program, brother.
Peace.
Peace.
Crumb TV.
If you could, please repeat after me. Peace. Ashe. Islam. Namaste. Grand Rising. Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam. Bom dia. Oseo. Halito. Wagwan. What up, though? Rahubat. Shalom. Shalom. Konnichiwa. Sakpase. Dua. Duau. Family, whatever the greeting is in your respective language, I am your humble brother Crumb here for another installation of Crumb TV. You already know what it is, family. This video is called Europe's Black Nobility. Happy Black History Month, family, day 6. But listen, before we get into all of that, I want to do what I do best, and let's put some respect in your name by acknowledging the first responders. Now, within the first 3 minutes, there are more than 48 first responders. So for the sake of time, we'll do the first 3. We call that the perfect trifecta. And I do want to emphasize perfect. And we're just going to do the first 3 members. So if you want to become a member, the link is in the description. Tap all the way in. Salute to the family. Number 1 in the building is my sister, A1 since day 1, matriarch, queen, mother, Monique Hill. She says, Crumb. Listen, you can't, you could say less, but you can't say less. Straight to the point. I see you. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm grateful. And then she comes back and says, chat. Shout out to the chat. We see you, we love you, appreciate you. The real official number 2 is True King. I see you, I love you, appreciate you. That's the A1 since day 1, my man, 100 grand. He says, peace with a big ashe, master students and disciples. I'm always humbled, honored, and grateful. It means everything to have a family in the building. Number 3 in the building is Conscious Connect, the usual suspect. She says, greetings, family. We saying greetings back. It's always an honor and a pleasure. I just want to recognize D Nice. I don't know if I said his name, but if I didn't, I want to make sure I get him in there. He says, what up, though? Master students and disciples. Wait, did he say that? He did say that. Okay. No. Both of them said the same thing. Okay, so that's peace. That's powerful. Okay, so with that said, family, we can cut the music now. That was a cool vibe, but let's go. And I want to share this. The minister is coming tonight, from what I understand. So while we wait on him, I want to go over this real quick. Probably not real quick, but I want to make it quick as possible. So check this out. I was this is actually from a very, very long time ago. I had this conversation with this dude, and um, I did a video about slave names, and it turned out to be a debate with this dude, and I didn't know who he was. I think I may have just seen him then and never seen him again. And he schooled me and humbled me. And he was like, "Yo, family, when you talking about these slave names, you gotta think they technically maybe not slave names. Um, a lot of that is Black heritage that has been mixed up. So in the English speaking world, a surname is commonly referred to as a last name because it's usually placed at the end of a person's full name after any given name, which is the name you were born with. Your mama, your daddy gave you that name. In many parts of Asia, as well as some parts of Europe and Africa, the family name is placed before a person's given name. The advent of surnames is relatively recent phenomena. A 4-year study led by the University of West of England, which concluded in 2016, analyzed sources dating from the 11th and 19th century to explain the origin of the surnames in the British Isles. The study found that over 90% of the 45,602 surnames in the dictionary are native to Britain and Ireland, with the most common in the UK being Smith, Jones, Williams, Brown, Taylor, Johnson, and Lee. The findings have been published in the Oxford English Dictionary of Family Names in Britain and Ireland, with the project leader, Professor Richard Coates, calling the study more detailed and accurate than those before. He elaborated on the origins of some surnames have origins that are occupational. Obvious examples are Smith and Baker. I need you to follow me, family, because I'm not just randomly talking about this stuff. This is Black History Month. Let me put that back on the bottom of the screen. Other names can be linked to a place, for example, Hill or Green, which relates to a village green. Surnames with a patronymic or are those which originally enshrine the father's name, such as Jackson or Jenkinson. There are also names where the origin describes the original bearer, such as Brown, Short, or Thin, though Short may be, in fact, an ironic nickname, surname for tall or for a tall person. By the 1400s, most English and some Scottish people used surnames, but many Scottish and Welsh, here we go, Scottish and Welsh. I need you to follow me, family, because when you look, the Welsh people weren't like the most prominent ethnicities of slave owners, ethnic background, slave owners, nobody identified as Welsh. I'm not going to say nobody, but almost nobody. Of everybody who said, "Hey, I'm a slave owner, I own slaves," nobody who raised their hand was Welsh, or almost nobody. But here, let me take a moment. I'm gonna breathe for a second, and I want to bring on none other than the minister himself. Peace and love, minister. How are you?
Peace and love, brother. How's it going?
All is well. All is truly well. Thank you for asking. I was just going into, of course, Europe's Black Nobility, and I was just following the names because a lot of us maybe under the understanding that we have slave names, and that just may not be the case.
Yeah, for sure. You're right.
But before I go back into that, let me take a moment just to acknowledge you, brother. Can you tell the family, and let's just listen, in my best Kamala voice, let's be clear. The minister needs no introduction, but just for formality's sake, can you tell the people who you are, where we can find you at?
Oh, for sure, man. I think we've been going back to back for the last 72 right now. So, misinformation, M.O.I, man. Y'all know I'm already on TikTok, going Hamilton over there. So definitely come rock with me on TikTok, and always right here on Crumb TV. And shouts out to everybody who hit me up for the health PowerPoint last night. the email went out maybe like 30 minutes ago. So check your email. If you still need a copy of that email, man, definitely reach out to me at the MOI podcast at gmail.com.
MOI podcast at gmail.com. I still got to reply to that to some people in the comments. I'll finish out. Let me see if I can skip through some of this. I'll just read a little bit more. By the 1400s, most English and some Scottish people used surnames, but many Scottish and Welsh people didn't adopt surnames until the 17th century or later. So just to be clear, the whole thing about people having last names is fairly recent. That's not like a thing anywhere, for real. But just to kind of put that in context, Henry VIII ruled during some time, ordered that martial births be recorded under the surname of the father. Because if anybody did have a name, a lot of times you would go under your mother. But once Henry came into place, he said, hey, officially it's going to be the father. In Ireland, the use of surnames has a very old history. Ireland was the first country in Europe to use fixed surnames. This is very important, family. It starts in Ireland. As noted in the annals, which is every year that's recorded, the first recorded fixed surname was O'Cleridge, which recorded the death of Tig Neoch Ua Cleridge, Lord of Adani in Galway, in year 916. Listen, my French is off, my Gaelic is off, but I digress. In England, the introduction of family names in general attributed to the preparation of the Domesday Book in 1086, following the Norman Quest. This is in France. Evidence indicates that surnames were, because they go into France, were first adopted among the feudal nobility and gentry. This is the feudal system. Whoever fights the best is the one who takes over everything. To the winner go the spoils. The guy who, Crumb, his story. Well, they were the ones, well, even prior, but they perpetuated the one who takes over is the one who tells history. It was these guys who had taken over things. All right, well, history is going to go the way we say it because, we operate under a feudal system. Moving on. Some of the early Norman nobility who arrived in England during the Norman quest differentiated themselves by affixing D, meaning of, because they're going to France, before the name of their village in France. This is what is known, these are the Irish going into France, as a territorial surname, a consequence of feudal land ownership. In medieval times in France, such a name indicated lordship or ownership of the village. Some early Norman nobles in England chose to drop the French derivation and call themselves instead after their new English holdings. They gave up their names, whatever names they had when they left and went into France. As my grandma would say, y'all acting brand new. Don't go out here and get in front of these people and act brand new now. They went out to France and got brand new. Surnames were uncommon prior to the 12th century and still somewhat rare in the 13th century. Most European surnames were originally occupational or locational and served to distinguish one person from another if they happened to live near one another. I remember when we were in high school, all the white boys' names were Josh, so we wouldn't even call them by their first names. We would call them by their last names because all the white boys' names were Josh or they were all named David. I'd be like, Jenkins, get your ass over here. I'm not saying his name was Jenkins, but I remember just calling them by their last names. In the 18th and 19th centuries in Britain, bequests were sometimes made contingent upon a man's changing his family name so that the name of the testator continued. In medieval Spain, the patronymic system was used. For example, Alvaro, the son of Rodrigo, would be named Alvaro Rodriguez. Rodriguez is the son of. Y'all be sitting here, his name was Bar Jesus, the son of Jesus. No problem. When y'all be like, Yahweh ben Yahweh. Ben is also son of Bar Jesus, son of Jesus. Ben, son of Yahweh. Rodriguez, same thing, son of. His son Juan would, and this is in Spain now, his son Juan would not be named Juan Rodriguez, but Juan Alvarez. Uh, uh, Over time, many of these patronymics became family names and some of the most common names in Spanish-speaking world. During the age of European expansion, and particularly since the 1600, many cultures around the world have adopted family names, particularly of administrative reasons. When we talk about what the European has contributed to the world, in one word, it's administration. From ancient Rome was famous for administration. All of them got it from Egypt. Egypt was the first because they invented papyrus. You don't have administration without writing shit down. Oh, crumb. Well, they had the I forgot what you call it, that writing system where they're writing on rocks and shit over there in Chaldea. I'm not talking about writing on rocks. I'm talking about papyrus paper. The first administration was Egypt. From Egypt comes Rome. They're the administration. From Rome, that's why are white people always the manager, middle management? Because they fame themselves on administration. The U.S. followed the naming custom and practices in English common law. Well, how does this deal with the black nobility? What is the names of these Moors? English, Irish, Scottish, and Welsh variant of Moor. If your last name is Moore with an E, that's not from oh crumb, my last name is Moore. I must be Moorish from Africa. No. I must be from Morocco. No. I must be a Berber. No. If your last name is Moore with an E, you are English, Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. Black people with the last name Moore. If your last name is Moore, that's the name of black nobility in Europe. The surname Moore has nothing to do with Africa. That's a surname of black nobility in Europe. Ancestry.com.
Teach.
Please. Oh, I'm here, Minister. Let me breathe. I've said a lot. What say ye? Whenever you're ready to tap in, Minister, please don't hesitate.
Oh no, I think you're doing a great job. I'm gonna piggyback or camelback on a couple of these things because I did a whole freaking series on TikTok. So I'm gonna pull up my TikTok and just kind of do some review on a lot of the information I put out there. What's the good brother name? The Duke of Tears. I'm gonna tell you something about me. I don't mind shouting out people who do work because it's too much information for one person to know to even try to consume. Like even everything I fucking know, I still listen and study other people and what they put out. But the Moorish noble, the Duke of Tears, does extensive work on this information, and this is why I got a lot of my leads from and insight. Which of course, I always do my own research. So when you do your own research, you always find more, no pun intended, but you always find more information that was out there. And I think what you're going over right now is a beautiful baseline for people to get started studying. But I also think the psychology of our people in America won't allow them to fully grasp the idea of what you're trying to teach them, right? Because there's no shout at the audience. This is just, we're family. We're just talking, right? So it's like, if you were to really understand the information that Crumb is laying down now, right? Now come behind him with proof, pictures, documentation. The fact that when we say Europe, the complexity of your thinking should shift a little bit. And it's hard. It's hard to shift it because we're stuck on colorism. We're stuck on skin tone. 15th, 14th, 16th, and I would say part of the 17th century to later, around 1789. But up to then, skin tone was not even a subject. If you went and got in a time machine and go back and start talking about black, they would look like you fucking crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Skin tone was not even a factor when it came down to certain classism. Remember, he's talking about Europe. Europe was under what was called a monarchy. So anytime you deal with a monarchy, you have the haves and the have-nots. That's it. That's it. That's it. Poor whites, poor blacks, same people. In fact, they identified them as serfs. And we I feel like sometimes we go over so much information over the years, and we make mention of so much stuff to where I think when we start doing our live, we're going to slow down the vibration and really harp on stuff and dig, because as you're explaining this, everybody's mind frame should be in monarchy. You should be thinking serfs, servants. Crumb is going over the fact of surnames, which is known as autonyms and exonyms and endonyms, right? We're talking about name parts of nobility, nobles, noble Drew Ali, noble class, nobles. We're talking about dukes, squires, earls, knights. That's what we all right. That's what frame your mind should be. And we're talking about feudalism. Okay, I yield the floor.
The lowers don't have a name. You have to earn a name. You don't just get a name. You have to earn your name.
That's facts. So when you see the Duke of this, Earl of this, Count so and so,
I got
titles.
I got a couple for you. Here's a title: Mom. Your ass can't be a mom with no children. What are you talking about, sis? You gotta. That's not just the name we give girls. You got to go through something to become mom.
Well, that's facts.
Jesus Christ. His name's not freaking Christ. It's a title.
Well,
doctor.
Here's one
you
for
can't
you.
just be. I'm sorry.
Only Christians have last names. Let that cook in your spirit for a second. Jesus didn't have a last name. He was Jesus of Nazareth.
Come on. Because
you would be William of Portsmouth,
correct.
Jacoby of Atlanta. Like it's your first name and then where you from. That was it. Only Christians have last names. That's what Malcolm X was trying to tell y'all.
You would say your daddy name. I am Thor, Odin's son.
Right. You say I am Thor, son of Odin. Like that's it. Only Christians have last names. And that was to denote their property out of what was called Christendom. Not Christianity, Christendom, which was the conquesting instrument that was fueled by Spain under Ferdinand and Isabella by way of the Pope under the Indicatera Cavina, okay? And then the Anglican Church. This is why Noble Drew Ali said you must return Christianity in the church back to the Europeans. It was created for their salvation. You strayed after the gods of Europeans who you know nothing about. Please continue, bro.
Baker. Question. I'm sorry. Yeah. Who were the Huguenots? Answer. According to Who Do You Think You Are magazine.com, it reads, some Huguenots translated their surnames. One Du Bois family in London changed its name to Wood during the Napoleonic Wars. LeBlanc might be changed to White or Boulanger to Baker. These are the Huguenots. We're in France. Oh, Crumb, you talking about the Moors out there in Spain? No, we're in France right now. If your last name is Baker, that's a French name. Oh, Crumb, my last name Baker, we French. No, you're black people. Question. What surname Baker, what surname means Baker? Answer. According to FamilySearch.org and an article titled Baker Name, Meaning, and Baker Family History at Family History Search. It reads Americanized form of surnames meaning Baker, for example, Dutch Baker, German Becker or Beck, French Boulanger and Bellinger, C. Bellinger, Czech, Slovak, Pecker, and Croatian, Pecker. White. This is collinsdictionary.com, English translation for blanc. This is from Baker. Word forms blanc, feminine, blanche, adjective, white. This is Baker. English.stackexchange.com, etymology of black. What is the origin of the word blanco or black? The word black can be traced back to its Proto-Indo-European origins through the word block. Remember, the C and the K are interchangeable. Black, block, which meant pale, wan, colorless, or albino. Black was incorporated into Old English as block, Italian and Spanish as blanco, bianca, bianco, bianchi. This is all variations of the name Baker, meaning black. Ewing is another one. This is the black nobility. Clan Ewing of Scotland, early history and contribution. I'm gonna skip forward. Ewing, Scottish origin, derived from Gaelic clan. Greek, which means noble, well born. This is Ewing. Swarthy, this is Ewing. Their immediate predecessors, a tall, dark, swarthy people. These are the Ewings. Do you know any Ewings who are tall, dark, and swarthy? Anybody with the last name Ewing? There's another one up in here. I didn't highlight it good enough. But Kerr, that's another one.
Hold on. Go back.
Please. Yeah, right here.
Go back one more.
Okay.
Right there.
Yeah.
I looked down for a second and heard you talking. I thought you was calling out the NBA players. Patrick Ewing, Steph Curry. I thought you was calling out NBA players. I'm sorry. Keep going.
That's right. Kerr. The name means little dark. 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 Kerr. A shortened from the Gaelic name Mac, Gil, Shear, means son of the dusky lad, Gaelic origin. The name from the Gaelic word seer, meaning dusky. This is related to Kerr, found in the west coast of Scotland, the island of Arran. Kerr, masculine, black, dark brown. Kerr. The exact meaning of Kerr is unclear, but it might be related to the Celtic word Kerr, meaning black or dark. Your name secret decoded. Surname. In Scotland, it came from the Gaelic. Kerr. C and the K are interchangeable. Surname, meaning family tree. In Scotland, it could be the Gaelic Seer. It would be the descriptive name given to people who are particularly dark in complexion. Oh, crap! They're talking about the dark eyes and the dark hair. No, we're talking about skin.
I know Mac. Mac represents the what's this? Is this the Irish sect of the Moors? I'm doing air quotes. You can't see my hand. The Moors, from the later version of Macklemore, later version of Macs of the 1970s were always clean cut, slightly overdressed, finely dressed men who were referred to as Macs. When the Macklemores or Macs came into that part of Europe, they had on fine gaiter shoes and fine royal attire. Those shoes were called Murray gaiters, and pimps in the 70s always had on Maury gators, who were referred to as Macs. So some simulation even with the term Macklemores, Moors, the gators, the Maury gators, and the Moors brought alligators or crocodiles up into Europe, and they would put moats around their castles to keep the scavengers, much how Moses put the ring of fire to keep them coming and attacking him at night. They put moats and filled it with alligators. Alligators are not indigenous to Europe. So he brought them into Europe.
Teach. Okay. I'm not going to go into brown. That's too easy. But brown is brun. So when somebody, just like with brunette, Stewart, was the House of Stewart black according to ScottsClan.com? The Stewarts are of Bute, are descended from Sir John Stewart, born in 1345. Look at the date, 1345. Sir John Stewart was the son of Robert II of Scotland and was known as the Black Stewart, either for his dark complexion or because his brother was and his brother was the Red Stewart. King Charles Stuart, the Black Boy King of England, 1630. Look at the time. The word Stuart comes from the old Nordish root svart, because that double V is a W, which means black. Douglas meaning black. There you go. Black. This is the Douglas family crest. Why they got a black dude up there? Why the Douglas family crest got a black dude? Here's Douglas again. That's a black dude in an American flag uniform. The English called Sir James the Black Douglas.
That's the black Captain America. With the shield.
Hold on. Where my girl at?
Word Rogers.
Teach Muhammad. Okay. Douglas the Black. I'm sorry, the Black Douglas. There he is again. The Moors were prominent in Scotland in the 10th century. One of them was known as King Kenneth III of Scotland. This is the Black Nobility. Crumb, give me a name of a black dude. His name is King Kenneth III of Scotland. Look at the time, 10th century. At that time, there were no quote unquote white people in this part of the world. It is a historical fact that Nigger Val Dub lived and reigned over 3 black provinces in Scotland Highlands, and that a race known as the Son of the Black succeeded him in history. That's according to J.A. Rogers in his book Sex and Race. He was the king of Dub, 4 cousins of the previous king of Constantine III, and Constantine III, his successor, Malcolm I. The ancient Moorish Sephardic Jew of Spain kept the record known as where did I lost my place? The ancient Moorish Sephardic Jews of Spain kept the record of their ancestry back to scriptural King David, and these were black men who were later taken into slavery in America. You guys in America.
Read that again. I want to point something out.
The ancient Moorish Sephardic Jews of Spain kept the record of their ancestry back to the scriptural King David, and these were black men that were later known, that were later taken in slavery.
Okay, now let me show you something to that point. Give me 1 second.
Take your time.
Give me 1 second.
Take your time, Minister.
Pull the
Amen,
picture.
Charles.
Put a picture right here. Okay, let's going to share screen for a second. Based on what you just read and what you just said, go back one more time. Talk about the ancient. I can't read it. The ancient what? The ancient Moorish
Sephardic Jews of Spain.
Right there. So the ancient Moorish Sephardic Jews of Spain. There was a expulsion of these individuals prior to the Inca Terra Covina. This was the second expulsion of these Sephardic Jews from Spain. Now, don't go thinking the guys up in New York with the curly bangs and the black hats on. We're not talking about them. We're talking about these people right here. There you go. See the big Star of David in the back? You see that Moorish These are descendants of the first group of Sephardic Jews from Spain when they got expelled. The first expulsion from Spain. The second expulsion from Spain is what Taj Tariq Baitum talk about. When the Moors got put out, they never tell you where the Moors went though. They came here to the East Coast. They were the first ones in the colonies. The first colonies, not the 1619 colonies. Remember, I showed you a couple days ago about the 1525 Spanish colonies in Georgia and South Carolina. These individuals came also from Spain the first time. That's why they tell you that Noble Jew Ali went to go resurrect the old Canaanite temple.
Islam.
The Canaanite temple. And we won't go all into that, but these are the Sephardic Jews of Spain who got expulsed. Now, the other supposed Moors, because remember they weren't classified as Moors back then. Like we call them Moors now. They didn't identify themselves as Moors back then. Like that wasn't even a thing back then. Religiously, they were under what we call now Islam. Back then, it was called Islamism or Mohammedanism, and they first got exposed what's called the Alhambra. Let me show you before I pass the mic. The Alhambra Decree. The Alhambra Decree. Let's learn something. See right here, this picture right here. These are the Moors bowing also to the Antichrist. I'm gonna show you in a second. Right, the Alhambra Decree was issued in 1492 by King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain that ordered the expulsion of the Jews from their kingdom. The decree was also known as the Edict of Expulsion. Then came the Edict Terracotta thereafter. So write down the Alhambra Decree. Now let me show you how these Muslim Moors, the ones who did not convert, the ones who converted, it's the same black royal family now. We're talking. It's all one big story. This is just the prehistory story that we don't get. We just get the slave ships and that's it. But this is the prehistory story we're talking about right quick. Where is it at? Right here. Right here. And I'm gonna show you after Crumb finishes. I'm gonna show you about 3 or 4 actual black queens of Europe besides Charlotte. Charlotte was a little bit later. Charlotte's mother is black too, and her father was black. We'll show you all those people as well, right? We call them black. In America, we call them what's the word we call them? Octroon or mulatto. That's what we call them over here. These were some of the first uppity Negroes in the colonies of Louisiana. And Louisiana was settled by Spain, sold to France, but settled by Spain. And these uppity Negroes in Spain was under what was known as the Côte Noire. We'll get into it in a second, but let me just show you this real quick. Real quick. It says the Black Central Europe. This is from blackcentraleurope.com. Black Central Europe, we bring over 1,000 years. Sorry, let me correct myself. 1,000 years of Black history in the German-speaking lands and show you why it matters. The king of the Moors submits to the Antichrist. This is by the 15th century, the association of Blackness with the cosmopolitan Christian universalism that had been cultivated since the whatever that word is seems to have been prying in the face of threat posed by the Mongol expulsion from the east and the Ottoman expansion from the southeast. Now, before we get up into this 1440, 1450 category, let's put it into context. They say that the Moors or the Berbers come from northern Africa, but the kingdom they were a part of was a part of the Ottoman Empire, who just had toppled the Byzantine Empire. Okay, Muhammad II took the head off Satan. Remember that, Moors? Muhammad II, when he was taking the head off Satan, I'm doing the air quote, not really Satan. He was talking about the actual Caesar of the Byzantine Empire. While he was encroaching on that territory, one of his number one hitchmans got away. That was Vlad the Impaler, ran away back to his territory. Okay. Ottoman Empire is ruling the top part of Africa, moving what's called Mohammedanism into encroaching lands. at the same time that the Eastern Orthodox Church has split. The Anglican Christian Church has divided. This is right after Martin Luther nailed the 95 Reformed Theses to the church door. This is also the time that France is about to put out what's called the Douay Bible. Right? This is shortly, it's the 1450, 1535. You didn't have Desiderius Erasmus, who's going to publish what's called the Nova Testamentum. This is all religious wars. This is also dealing with what's known as the Crusades. Okay, the Crusades is dealing with another Sephardic Jew by the name of Solomon ben Isaac. Crom just told you about the word ben, a bar. Solomon bar Isaac. He dispatches his 3 henchmen, Godfrey of the Bullion, Walter the Penniless, and Peter the Hermit, to go conquer lands in what was known as Turkey. Ispolin, Turkey. That's where they had all the council meetings at prior. Just giving you context, so you know what we're dealing with real quick. So real quick, the top image reproduced below shows the fantastical Bohemian monster with the heads on the chest, marching along the Ethiopian to meet the Antichrist. At the bottom image turns in the story of the 3 Magi's. On his head, the 3 kings paying homage to the Antichrist. There it is. And I have more photos later to show you of these Moors also bowing to these kings. And then a picture later where this king has the 3 heads of the Moors cut off. Sorry, 4 heads of 4 different decapitated heads of Moors cut off, showing submission to Christendom. And then later you see those 4 Moorish heads on the flag. We'll get to all that in a second. I yield the floor.
Brother, you can't just show that picture and just move forward.
It's a lot, ain't it? Yeah. They bow to the Antichrist. Let me pull it back up again so I can show you. So I just be waiting on the Moors to say something, because this is the part that they don't talk about. Let me pull it back up. With my bad. Moorish kings bowing to Antichrist, and I got way more on my TikTok, and I pulled up in a second as well to show you what I was just talking about. The images. Here it is right here. Oh, let me pull the link up. My bad. It's the link right here. The Moorish king bound to the Antichrist. All right, there it is right there. Let me pull it back up. And this kind of coincides with what you're talking about with those beasts that you showed the other day.
Brother, those things writing on the goat, do you know what those are?
What, those monsters? No.
Yeah. I think they're called a blimmy.
Wow.
So now when a bunch of these monsters, blimmy, body with chest, with face in chest, with face in chest. Give me just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Let me share screen. Stop, present, window, blimmy. They are variously known as something or blimmies, and described as lacking a head with their facial features on their chests, which were at first described as inhabitants of ancient Libya or the Nile system. So these blimmies were a part of a creation experiment. So back in the day, when they were doing their creations, they created blimmies, and homunculus. They were creating blimmies, and a lot of this stuff was like coming from the the whole homunculus thing. The word homunculus has multiple meanings, including a small human, a representative of a brain, and a fictional character. So these are some bad examples. This is probably the best example of a homunculus. They were creating these basically what we call to family. Press 000. We haven't done the numbers. Press 000 if you understand you're looking at the very first test tube, baby.
Wait a minute.
Press 0.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I wouldn't even. Wait. Whoa.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
I wasn't even ready for that. I wasn't sure where you were going, but I didn't see that coming.
This whole go back and read the Bible. The Garden of Eden was a genetic experiment. Go back and look at Enki and Enlil, genetic experiments. Anytime somebody get abducted by aliens, I'm doing an air quote thing with my fingers. Y'all can't see me. Anytime somebody does these genetic experiments, I forgot where I was going with that. Go back to the Garden of I'm sorry, Enki and Enlil. Those are genetic experiments. When I be calling the European Caucasian people, when I call them homunculus, Tamahu, a created people, they were going crazy with splicing. Because when we were kids, they called it splicing. Now I don't know what they call it, but this whole genetic experiment thing been
created creatures.
The created creatures, these blimmies, these homunculus. He's so petty. These creations of Yakub, and let me reference Ifa real quick. Let me reference Ifa. So now in Ifa, he created the first creation were monsters. All in Ifa, the first creations were monsters. Somebody in the chat, please tell me what was the guy's name in Ifa who created monsters and he was drunk off coconut wine or something like that. In Ifa, the dude, he was creating according to in Yoruba. Let's try Yoruba. Yoruba. There he is. I forgot what this is. Is it Obatala? Let me see somebody in the Obatala. Obatala gets drunk off coconut wine and creates monsters. Apparently, I'm saying something wrong or it's just not up here. I don't know. But that's the story. And several people are confirming that. According to the creation story, the first creation were monsters. Remember, God had to flood the earth because there was a certain creation that were monsters. That's in the Bible too. This whole monster thing, don't think it's fantasy or I mean, not just fantasy. It's in your Bible. It's in Ifa. There's a lot of different. I forgot. It was the Titans or something, and they had sex with people from the ocean, and that's how the monsters were created, or whatever the case may be. But there's the creation of monsters, or as being a sect. There was a sect in several different belief systems that had monsters, and those monsters were called well, I'm sorry, they had different names, but the ones that the minister just showed, those are blimmies. Those are blimmies. They're a type of white people. But see, this is where you get into a lot of weird stuff, because when you start talking about blimmies, you're going to have to start talking about fairies. You're going to have to start talking about dwarves. You're going to have to start talking about elves. This is a lot of them weird European monsters that you guys may or may not be privy to. See, when you go down to Africa, you're going to have to start talking about mermaids, whatever the case may be. But every single continent has their own monster mythos that a lot of people do subscribe to. Go down to Mexico with the Chupacabra or whatever this shit is called. You know what I'm talking about, Minister? The Chupacabra or some shit. What is it called?
I'm not too familiar with the Chupacabra when it comes to the Mexico. I'm familiar with what's his name? Kukulkan.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I got you. Well, I mean, again, this is no different than dealing with the cherubim and the seraphim and the what people mistakenly call sphinx. And the sphinx is not a sphinx. That's not a sphinx in Egypt. Okay, that's not a sphinx. Sphinx is a winged lion. That thing in Egypt has no wings. It's mistakenly called a sphinx. We're talking about gorgons. That's all. That's all in the same. Depending on where you at, and that's why the scripture in the book of Ezekiel and Revelation describes what they look like. They got eyes all over their wings. They got 6 pair of wings. The cherubims. It describes all of them. They got 6 heads. Head look like a man. Head look like a now. In that description, since we own that, I'm not sure what the point you about to go with this. Go ahead.
Okay, let me say this in terms of the monsters. And then we can go back to whatever we want to get to. Let me say this in terms of the monsters. When you talk about the woman and the 7-headed dragon, that's slander. That's slander, family. That's slander. Because that 7-headed serpent, Buddha. Oh, that 7-headed serpent, Crumb. That 7-headed serpent, depending on where you go, that red 7-headed serpent is a protector. While you meditate and go into your higher realms of thought, the 7-headed serpent will arise and got your back. Y'all better stop talking crap about a 7-headed serpent.
Yeah, this serpent represents wisdom. That it's the same as the Uraeus serpent in ancient Euclid.
I want to ask the listening audience, if you see, because I see a good teacher can't tell you what to see, only where to look. If you look right here at the 7-headed serpent and the dude sitting on it, and you look right here at the 7-headed serpent and the girl sitting on it, do you see the same thing? 222. If you see the same thing, press 222. If you see what I see, I'm not telling you what to see. I'm asking you, do you see what I see? Oh, Crumb, these monsters are bad. And the monsters, Crumb, the monsters. Sarah stop talking crap about the monsters, bro. I'm not going to sit here and be fully against the monsters. I'm not taking that position. I'm not telling anybody what position to take. I'm just saying I'm not taking that position. I yield the floor.
So when we're dealing with the dragon or the 7-headed dragon, and the scriptures represent the 7 churches or the seven lampshades that represent the 7 churches throughout Asia, it says in the Bible. And just pull up. I can pull it up. Pull up the because I'm trying to think and go too fast. Pull up the dragon and the woman of Revelation. You type it in. I think it's chapter 22.
The dragon and the woman of Revelation.
Bam, there it is right there. Go to the actual script, the verbiage. Sorry. It says the woman and the dragon of Revelation 12 are a symbol of ongoing spiritual battles between God's people and Satan, higher self and lower self. Crom just told you that. When you go into your meditative state, it represents your lower self and your higher self coming into cosmic connection. Now, the woman on that dragon Crom just showed you in Christianity represents God's people and often interpreted as Israel or the church flees into the wilderness, right? The dragon represents the dragon represents Satan and the adversary of God and his people tries to devour the woman's child at birth is cast out of is cast out and identified as Satan. The male child represents Jesus, who is destined to rule all nations. Now, I thought Jesus was born of Mary. This is not Mary, so I don't know what this is talking about right here. But this is the story. It's caught up to God in references to Jesus' ascension after his resurrection. The war symbolizes the spiritual. This is spiritual. Anytime you see the word spiritual, we're talking about Christ consciousness, something internal, not external. The symbolizes the spiritual warfare between Satan, your lower self, and the followers of Christ. The devil on your right shoulder, the angel on your left shoulder. Higher self, lower self. Let's go into Revelation 12 right quick so we can digest this dragon.
Shall I read?
Please.
Revelation chapter 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet.
Stop right
and
there.
Upon her,
the woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet. The sun to rule the day, the moon to govern the night. The moon under her feet represents Ishtar or Islam. Her being the moon under her feet, she is the star of Venus. The crescent moon and the star of Venus is what they just described to you. You didn't catch that. The virgin is Venus, the star with inside the moon. Look at the flag of Turkey, Islam, whatever. That's Ishtar, or the moon deity. Islam is lunar, Christianity is solar. Continue, I'm sorry.
well, Minister, I was going to ask, could I take a crack at that and see, can I interpret it?
For sure.
Okay, so what we're reading, I suspect, I could be wrong and it wouldn't be the first time, maybe theology mixed with astrology. So let me see, can I find it? European Jesus. I did this PowerPoint where I pointed out that particular verse, and I want to see if I can just kind of quickly find it. And it looks like I ultimately can't. Oh, nope, found it. Okay, here we go. Boom. Let me share this. Let me share a screen. Let me share the screen with the family.
King Moses, hold that question. We're gonna come back to that, but it's not the 12 stars of Zodiac or Zodiacus, Queen Zodiacus. You talking about? We'll come back to that.
Revelation 12. Oh, sorry. So it says Revelation 12, the sign. Now this is September 23rd, 2017. So, and a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet. So this woman who is clothed with the sun is actually Virgo, clothed in the sun, with the moon under her feet, pregnant with a child. You're going to see the moon directly under Virgo, and inside of Virgo is the sun. And then above Virgo, it reads, she was pregnant. I'm sorry. And on her head, a crown of 12 stars. If you look directly above Virgo, you're going to see a crown of 12 stars, 9 stars in Leo, plus 3 planets, Mercury, Mars, and Venus. Crumb, you're doing so well. All the stars are aligned in your favor. On September 23rd, 2017, this was the alignment. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pains and in the agony of giving birth. So now you say, Crumb, that don't sound like the Virgin Mary. Well, according to the zodiac, what zodiac sign is opposite of the Virgo? I want to ask the listening audience, if you look with your eyes on the opposite side of the zodiac circle or whatever, What's on the opposite side of Virgo? I just want to ask the listening audience, see if anybody, if y'all sleep, it is a little bit late, or is anybody paying attention? I'm sorry, I'm feeling like RFK. Jeez. Pisces. That's right, Pisces. Directly across from the Virgo is Pisces. So on one side you got the fish, on the other side you got the bread. Remember, that vagina get yeasty, and it get fishy. That's why she be wearing them fishnets. When your grandma had dreams about, this is the Virgo, when your grandma had dreams about fish, one of y'all girls wouldn't run around here, sneak out at night, apparently. How you know, grandma? I had a dream about the Pisces. The Virgo and the Pisces have always been connected. The woman and the fish, the woman and the bread. So now you're dealing with that Virgo and the Pisces. I'm
Fish
sorry, please,
sandwich.
Minister.
Fish sandwich.
Right, I yield the floor.
Fish sandwich. I just wanted to camera back on the information because we doing all wise, right, and exact information. And to the brother, what he said up here. Damn it, I lost the damn comment now. Somewhere he said about something to 12 on whatever the case is. But I want to be clear. My Kamala voice. Let's be clear. Okay. I know we're talking about the zodiac and we're talking about signs and what's your sign, and I'm a Scorpio and I'm a Pisces and I'm a Leo. What you guys are talking about is something called anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism is an attribute of human characteristics, emotions, and behaviors to animals or other non-human things, including objects, plants, supernatural beings. Some famous examples of is they give you some right there. Now, where does anthropomorphism come from, or your 12 signs of zodiac? We're not going to keep talking about these Greco-Roman symbols. Let's talk about the source, where it comes from. The Dundora zodiac. This is the goddess Zodiacus. This is the star chart. Now, I know a lot of y'all don't know about Shu, Tefnut, Gab, the star of Decad Heaven. When Anun or Amun took himself in his hand and created man. I know that's called pre-Egyptian history, pre-dynastic history, before all the cool shit happened with Mayat. Mayat is way down the line. But this is the Dundora Zodiac, which is a large stone relief that depicts the constellation of the zodiacs. This is where it comes from. It was discovered in 1799 in the ceiling in the shape of the Temple of Hathor in Dundora, Egypt. The zodiac is now on display in Louvre, Paris. Let's take a look at the oldest and the original. There were no Pisces and all the other crap y'all be talking about. Wasn't even a thing. This is the original one. That's where it comes from. And then the Greeks, okay, when they came into Egypt by way of Alexander the Macedonian and the Ptolemaic dynasty, they anthropomorphized those images into what you calling it today. So even when you got your Black Power and Black and I'm Proud and my aunt and sister this, sister that, you're still referencing Greco-Roman mythology. Because none of y'all know this star chart right here. Maybe you've heard about it. Let's start calling these signs out. These are our ancestral signs right here. Not that scorpion and not that cat and not them fish. That's their shit. Now, what we're referencing on the reference of those 12, going back to Revelation 12, it talks about the 12 stars. Those are the daughters, the 7, the daughters of what's his name? Atlas. Again, we still with Greco-Roman history. So everything we talk about, those 7 signs, the 12 stars, even in Revelation 12, that's Greco-Roman references. Remember, the New Testament is the Greek and Roman version of Christianity. Who was the first Greek to give you your Bible? His name was Ptolemy II, Philadelphia. He had 77 Jewish scholars translated into what was called what? Anybody know what the book called? It's called the Septuagint. The Septuagint is an Egyptian perversion book translated to your New Testament, and it got retranslated into Latin later. William Tinsdale, so on and so forth. But this, I just want to land the plane. This is the original chart right here that you probably want to take a look at while we're citing Greco-Roman references. Be sure to take a look at the original and know the 40 symbols, not just the 12.
Well, brother, I had went over that calendar because me being a Scorpio, I've been trying to tell the people, and I'll break it down really quickly. So now the Scorpion is on the Dendera. Now here's where they kind of play the game. If you look, let me see if I can make this bigger. This as big as I can get it. If you look directly in front of this particular Scorpion, you're going to see two scales, like the Libra scales. That's incorrect. So now right here you have Scorpio, the scales technically Libra, then before Libra, Virgo. After Scorpio, you're going to see Sagittarius, the man and the beast, upper half man, lower half beast. But I'll clarify that. There are no scales. When we anthropomorphize, we only anthropomorphize with animals. There are no inanimate objects in here. This side, there is no scale. That scale was placed in here. Right here, where you see the Scorpio, that the extension of the Scorpio are two claws, not two scales, two claws. The brother's correct. There was no Ma'at at this time. Ma'at comes later. But this is the gates of death. You're going to go in this direction. You're going to go this way into the gates of death. So there is no Libra. It's just the Scorpio. This is in the Dendera. It's just the Scorpio, which is Scorpion. And instead of those two scales, those are two claws. And right after the Libra, which is nothing more than the claws of Scorpio, then you're going to see the Virgo. That's why people will tell you the Virgo and the Scorpio have a special connection, because the story goes that the Scorpio fell in love. Adopted the Libra, but knew it couldn't raise Libra by itself, and Scorpio got into a relationship with Virgo to help. Well, Scorpio was already in a relationship with Virgo, but they were just lovers, not husband and wife. And he gives Libra to Virgo to raise, to give the feminine aspect to. When you're dealing with the Libra is the feminine version of the Scorpio. Scorpio is the gates of hell. Remember, November is harvest season. This is a calendar, folks. Don't forget that. November is harvest season. We're going to harvest the land at this point. This is why we call it the month of death. We're not unaliving people like Hollywood. We're just collecting the harvest. Happy Thanksgiving. But that's just a little quick breakdown of the Dendera. And I love to do it because I am a Scorpio. Ain't no Libra. That's the claws of Scorpio. And the Virgo is the lover of Scorpio. And this is all death worship. This is the cult of death. Remember, when you're dealing with Egypt, you're dealing with the cult of death. That's why they call you Negroes. Because black means death according to law. But your people did deal with death a lot, so I kind of see why they call y'all Negro. I yield the floor.
No, that's all wise, right, and exact. Now, just for time's sake, because we about an hour in, and I know we're gonna be ending here shortly. Let me well, we kind of went on one of our tangents, as we always do.
Yeah.
Let me just hit this real quick to go back to what we was talking about, because we don't want the revelation, we don't want everywhere, but that's good though. That's good. the information. I didn't know you had got into the Dundera. I'm about to go back and check that PowerPoint out and dig some more into that. This is in line back with the European Black Nobility Black History Month, Day 6. These are the Black Queens, excuse me, of Europe. And this is on my TikTok page. Some work I had did. So let me plug some information on this right here real quick. Not him. Let's see. I got stuff going on everybody's page, man. I covered Charlotte. Let's read this real quick. It says this is Queen Charlotte, mother of George IV, and was from the German house of Mecklenburg. Despite the whitewashed portrait of her paraded around today, she was described as being swarthy, complex. Queen Charlotte was the wife of George III, and like him of German descent, but she had African ancestry, Moorish, right? There was a whole TV series. I forgot the name of this series right here that they did about Queen Charlotte. Where's another one I did right here? Blah blah. This one, Queen Philippa, Queen Philippa of Hannelot was born in 1310 of Valenciennes in France, had a Black Moorish ancestry. She married Edward of York, who just before their marriage in 1328 became King Edward III of England. That's right. She married Edward of York, who before their marriage in 1328 became King Edward III. They would change names all the time like that, so it's really hard to track it unless you really get into it. Her Majesty Queen was bound to Scotland by ties of ancestry, affection, and duty. She was descended from the royal house of Stuart. On both sides of her family, her face is calmly rather handsome, but she is tall and well formed with good skin. Though swarthy, she has fine eyes. Philippa of Hamlet was the first Black queen of England. Charlotte was the 8th child of Prince Mario of Germany, Charles Louis Frederick, and his wife Elizabeth Alberta Saxe of Hanover. Hold on, I got more. I got a lot of them in here. This is actually off of the research at the bottom. Her Majesty Queen was bound to Scotland. She was descended of the royal house of Stuart on both sides. Her face was comely and rather. I'm just showing where I got the information from, right? Queen Anna Boleyn is another one. My bad, y'all. This is another one. Catherine of Boran's olive hue complexion, as the Moors like to say. She was small, swarthy, and doll-like, shapely and pale mistress. Of course, swarthy complexion. So the point of the matter is, on my TikTok page, everything we're talking about is on there. A brother asked a question about the head real quick. These are all the heads of the Moors. Where is it right here? So these 4 heads right here that I mentioned earlier, this it right here. Shit, man, what's wrong with this damn thing? TikTok hating on me. Let's just go through it real quick. These are all these were all of the Moorish provinces throughout Germany and Europe. Look at all the flags. The Netherlands, all that territory you think where them Caucasians are, that's Germany right here. Italy. Switzerland again. This is Peter of Aragon. The shield. That's the head right there of the 4 Moors bound to the he took the heads off right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 heads of the Moors bound to the Antichrist. They went and retrieved the heads of the 4 Moorish kings. You see that cross, that Crescent cross. Those 4 heads were placed on that cross as a symbology of the conquering of those Moorish kings. Those Moorish kings ruled everything from Scotland all the way over to Switzerland, all the way down to Germany, all the way to Europe, and they were defeated. Once they were defeated, that's how they marked that. Those are the four heads. The Moorish slaves were now, that's the thing I just showed you, bound to the Antichrist. And the rest of the Moors in Spain became converts known as Moriscos. And the Sephardic Jewish Moors in Spain, some of them converted and some of them left. This is the movie Amistad. That was a reference movie. That's Amistad. Those are Moors in captivity being brought to America. Moorish slaves were brought to America. Those are Moors being brought to America and put into captivity. Moorish slaves being brought to America. Not your African ancestors. Okay.
Can I? Well, I'm sorry, please.
No, please go ahead.
I want to add to the Jewish Moors part, if possible.
Please.
So, has anybody ever heard of the Sanhedrin? Plus, what number are we on? Let's just do 5. Press 555 if you never heard of the Sanhedrin. If you never heard of the Sanhedrin, press 555. Minister, are you familiar with the Sanhedrin?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought I heard you talk about it before. I'm almost sure I heard you talk about it several times, actually. So, just for the family who did hit 555, okay, so it's some people that don't know. Okay, cool. So this is called Davidic lineage of Ibn Yahya, Sanhedrin local. So I was talking to Skynet. Skynet said the Sanhedrin was a Jewish judicial and legislative body that operated in the ancient land of Israel. The term Sanhedrin comes from the Greek word Sunedrion, which means sitting together. The Sanhedrin sitting together. What did the Sanhedrin do? Administered criminal law, had independent police powers. They made arrests and judged. Hey, you're not the judge. You're not the police, judge, and jury. Well, the Sanhedrin is actually made arrests and judged cases that didn't involve the death penalty. The Sanhedrin, the judge, jury, and the executioner. The Ibn Yahweh family were descended from the hereditary heads of the Sanhedrin. The Jewish high court consisted of 71 men and was led by the high priest. The Sanhedrin council could decide almost any fate of its people except the death penalty, which was decided by the Romans. The courtroom of the Sanhedrin was located within the chamber, the upper room, the chamber of hewn stone inside the temple, the upper room. The Sanhedrin was in Tiberias, thence through the exilarchs back to King David. They were uptown Israel's. The exilarch was the leader of the Jewish community in Persian Mesopotamia. The exilarch was regarded by the Jewish community as the royal heir of the house of David. I'm about to talk about black people, just in case anybody has no idea where I'm going. And held a place of prominence as both a rabbinical authority and as a noble within the Persian court. And you look here to the right, it says Habib Levy, comprehensive history of Jews of Iran, the outset of the diaspora, because they came out of Iran, as you can see in this picture. They went to Israel, then they went back up into Mesopotamia under Nebuchadnezzar. Ibn Yahya elite family history is virtually a capsule version of the Sephardic Jews. When the minister is speaking, family, I don't want you to think that him and I are just going horses in different directions. He'll tell. It's what him and I do is called adding value. If you say 1 + 1 is 1, I'm going to say, oh, well, did you know 2 + 1 is 3? And then he'll be like, oh yeah, well, did you know 3 + 1 is 4? That's adding value. So when he was talking about the Jews, these black people under the Moors, oh, we were Moors, we were black. Well, what about the Jews? Well, yeah, they were black too. This is them. Happy Black History Month. Treasures for various kings of Portugal and Spain, authors of biblical commentaries, poets, mathematicians, astrologers, and physicians. Almost every generation of this family from the Sanhedrin produced individuals of outstanding capabilities. If you were born in this family, your ass couldn't be nothing less than a fucking astronaut. This is from the Sanhedrin bloodline. You couldn't be nothing less than a brain surgeon. The pedigree was unbroken from the 11th to the 16th century when members of the family were to be found in Amsterdam, Italy, and Constantinople. The image to the far right is the original family tree, and the image next to that is the verified lineage from the Jewish Encyclopedia. Family, these are black people. Follow me. This is Yahya pedigree. This is according to the Jewish Encyclopedia, published in Vince. I'm not reading all this ish, but it says it right here in bold letters, number 22. Can you see my cursor? Yeah, you can. 22. Jacob Tam Ibn Yahya bin David. This is in the Jewish Encyclopedia. Y'all going, oh yeah, there it is. Source material, jewishencyclopedia.com. Y'all gonna have to tap all the way in. Crumb. Well, the Moors were in Spain and Iberia, and the Jews were over there too. Well, what do Jews look like? Why y'all never talk about? Well, the Jews. No, you're thinking about the Khazarians. We're not talking about them. Yahya bin Rabbi, also known as Yahi the Negro, was a Portuguese nobleman. He was reputed to be a direct descendant of the Hebrew exilarchs of ancient Babylonia / Iraq that claimed direct descent from the biblical King David and was eponymous progenitor of Ibn Yahya family. Bin Rabbi resided in Lisbon and was respected by Sephardic Jews as well as by King Alfonso I of Portugal, who knighted him for his courage and awarding him the title Lord of the Aldea dos Negros, village of the Negroes, and presented him with an estate that had belonged to the Moors. Hey, we're not fucking with the Moors, but we'll give you this land because we know that you from the Sanhedrin people. This is what the dude from the Sanhedrin people look like. Y'all told me, y'all didn't say that. Y'all told me about the Moors, but none of y'all told me the Jews look like this. Y'all ain't really tell me that.
That's why I shared the picture of those Jewish Moors in New York with the 5-pointed star in the back, 6-pointed star of David in the back, and it had Moorish whatever. And Noble Ali went to reestablish the old Canaanite temple, the Jewish connection. That's why in the Moorish Science Temple, you learn that you are descendants of the Moabites. Why is there so much Hebrew overtone in a Islamic organization? Because that was the same connection in Spain, right? Al-Andalus, when the Alhambra decree was put on them, and the Alhambra decree was for the the black so-called Negro Sephardic Jews to get exposed, and then later the second expulsion of the Mohammedans, you call the Islamic-based group, they got exposed later under the Inca Terra Cavina, under the conquered lands, because now they had severed their heads of the 4 kings. They could take the land going west. This is why in the Moorish polemic, they say that a certain group of Moors got permission to settle lands west. Now they about to come west and get the other Hebrews over here in the west, who you call Cherokee, Blackfoot, Creek, Yamansi, Yamacraw, with their tassels on their pants. That they coming to get this sect of Hebrews from the lands over here. The royal group was over there. The tribes were over here. The biblical narrative of tribes being in Africa, that's falsehood. That's a bunch of naught. The kingdom, and that's why they tell you that the empire, the Moorish empire, there was an entire empire, the base group religion was what we know as Judaism and Mohammedan, or what you call Islamic faith. That's why you hear Moors say Islam, but they reference themselves as Hebrews. This is the connection. I yield the floor.
Well, listen, we're running on an hour and a half. It's damn near midnight, family. We got things to do in the morning. Let's not lie to ourselves. Minister, as always, I enjoyed it. It's been another amazing Black History Month, day number 6. I think we need to put Black History.
I mean to cut your wisdom, but I do have a bonus real quick that I want to share.
Please.
It'll take a hot 5 mics. But we need to be aware of this information. Again, go over to my TikTok, because I went on this shit a tangent for like a month on this stuff. This is the psychosis. Just like me and Crom is trying to explain to you about the polemic of the Sephardic Moors and these are all our people, the royal family. This is Black history right here. This is our history. The picture you see on the screen, this is us. I know. You baffled because you're used to seeing the Europeans with this on over here running through the woods, lynching Negroes. This is the same thing. When you see the Ku Klux Klan in America wearing our hoods and our outfits, they are doing the same thing they was doing in Spain. It's called expulsion. They were trying to also get rid of the rest of the Hebrews in the southeast region who still had the royal ties under the land on what was called a royal charter. Follow me. Under the royal charter, the Carolinas under King Charles, the Georgia territory under King George, gave them the green light, Jackson and the boys, to do what was called the Trail of Tears, the expulsion. So you see the expulsion from the Moors from Spain, and you see the Trail of Tears, it's the same thing. It's one of the same thing. It's the same event. It's just an ongoing war, a 1,000-year war ongoing. Then they re-invited them back onto the lands later. Remember that? Under 40 acres and a mule? They gave it back to them on the land. This is a land grab, land war. These are our people. This, as you see on the screen, is ours. Let me prove my point, and then I'm going to land the plane. This group right here is the oldest Black fraternity. Older than Prince Hall, older than Alpha Phi Alpha, older than this is the oldest ever you're gonna see right here. I want you to write this down. If you don't already know it, pay attention. This is us, this is ours. They're called Los Negritos. Los Negritos was a Black Christian brotherhood. It's the oldest group in Spain. It was a group of Moorish slaves who founded the oldest Black fraternity. That's the beef between the Moorish Science Temples and the Masons in George Washington. That's why the Moors say that's our information. We the Masons, we the Shrine. Yeah, it is, because this is the first group. This is the oldest group. Los Negritos, the oldest historical surviving brotherhood ever in the world, and the first Black brotherhood in the world. And this is their uniforms, and this is what they wore right here. Peace and love, y'all.
All right, family. There you have it. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we depart ways. If you would, please and thank you, smash that like button. Drop a comment, family. 0001111, anything. It doesn't matter. Also add value. What did we miss? Was there something else to this? Is a part 2 in line? You tell me. Happy Black History Month. What should we do tomorrow? Actually, yeah, Black History probably has to take a pause. Super Bowl weekend. Might want to have to talk about Kendrick Lamar, Drake. I don't know. Football.
Which is still Black history.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Go read a book called The $40 Million Slave, dealing with Negro football players on plantation. That field is green for a reason. It's called a field. Let's do that. Let's talk about the Hippodrome and the Gladiator games. Peace and love.
You are now watching Crumb TV.
You are now watching Crumb TV.
You're watching Crumb TV.
This is Prema Osset in Los Angeles, Leimert Park, and you are now watching Crumb TV.
You are watching Crumb TV.
And we're watching Crumb TV.
You are now watching Crumb TV. So subscribe.
I am the Grand Sheikess, Unity Temple number 80, More Science Temple of America, and you are watching Crumb TV.
Yo, this is that kid 179. You're now watching Crumb TV.
Crumb TV.